Back when I made my first £1,000 selling on TikTok Shop, my product wasn't exciting, my videos definitely weren't perfect, and I spent absolutely nothing on ads. And here's what most people get wrong. You don't need to dance, show your face, or even speak to the camera. So if you already have a product or a brand and you're looking to build success on TikTok Shop, then stick around, because in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly how you can do this, even if you don't think your product is a great fit for TikTok Shop. Now, £1,000 isn't life-changing, but it's definitely the hardest and most important milestone, especially on TikTok Shop. Once you've done it, you know it's repeatable and also, more importantly, scalable, maybe to tens, hundreds, or even millions of pounds. Now, for me, it actually took me 5 months before I cracked the formula and I made my first viral video for TikTok Shop. I was posting, but not regularly enough. I was testing hooks, but not often enough, and I wasn't really trying enough different angles for my videos, which is exactly why it took me 5 months. Now, having this viral video actually created way more problems for me than it solved. So TikTok has like a graduation period. So from a couple of years ago when I went through it, I had to have at least 500 total shop orders, along with a few other milestones that you had to hit. When my videos started going viral, I'd hit all the other milestones, but I hadn't actually hit the 500 total shop orders. So then when my video started popping off, TikTok kept capping me and shutting my shop off once I hit 100 orders every day. So I think this was about 3 or 4 days where my shop kept getting cut off and I was losing so many sales because it would be happening in the early afternoon. So the key thing here is you do actually want to build up your TikTok shop a little bit slower. You just want to create videos that are going to get you a good general base layer of sales. You're not actually looking for a viral hit from day one, because otherwise you'll run into the same roadblocks that I did, which is this video was gaining all of these views, finding all of these potential buyers, but those potential buyers couldn't actually buy the product. So then it was almost like a waste of this golden opportunity, this golden video that had been created was almost wasted because it wasn't actually being able to sell my product. Now, this definitely was painful. And then once we got out of the capped orders each day, I was getting a few hundred orders a day, probably for, I think this lasted for actually a good couple of weeks. So the big key takeaway from this story that I just shared with you is that I'm not going to teach you how to go viral, because that's actually not the right strategy, especially when you're starting out on TikTok Shop. We need to be able to create a repeatable testing loop so we can build a consistent base of sales on TikTok Shop, because from my experience, it's very, very hard to manage a TikTok Shop when your sales are going like this, because then you can very easily either way over order on stock and be sat on too much inventory and not have enough cash in the bank, or you will not have enough stock to fulfill the viral orders going out. So I'll show you how to test ideas, angles, and formats until something clicks, enough to get you to at least that first £1,000, even with a slightly boring product, which may not lean very well into the TikTok algorithm, at least until you understand how to make it work perfectly on TikTok, because I promise you now, any product will work very, very well on TikTok Shop, even if you think it's a really boring product. So I was speaking to a friend a little while ago about a product they wanted to bring on TikTok Shop and how they'd had absolutely no success with it, and they basically just sort of given up. When they first shared the product with me, if I'm totally honest, my initial reaction was like, wow, actually, I'm not surprised that you struggle. I was thinking about it and I was trying to think how I could make this product work on TikTok, and I just couldn't come up with anything on the spot. But then all it takes is 5 minutes of research, and then my mind was absolutely overflowing with hundreds of different video ideas that I know could make some good sales to get their product off the ground. Now, there are some really boring products out there that are doing really great numbers. So one of the best examples that I want to share with you today is, as e-commerce sellers, we all know that one of the things that we need in our businesses is thermal labels, but it's also one of the most boring products out there, yet they absolutely crush it on TikTok Shop. So as you can see, this video just sells a really boring product, but it's actually performed really quite well on the TikTok platform. And whilst we can't necessarily see direct sales numbers from this video, you can kind of tell from the amount of views and likes that the video has and how early it comes up on the shop tab that it has obviously generated a really decent amount of sales for this.
If you've got an online business or you send a lot of parcels, let me put you on. I bought 100 thermal labels on TikTok for £8, 4x6 inch, 150 by 100. Running a Black Friday deal, you get them for £6 right now. Quick delivery. I don't know if they've got any left in stock, but I've linked it below for you.
Very boring product. So it's never about the products on TikTok Shop. It's always about how you show it. Now, another concern I know a lot of people have with launching their brands on TikTok Shop is that they don't want to show their face or they don't want to talk to the camera and anything like that. And that is completely understandable. Maybe you just don't like being on camera, or maybe as the founder of a brand, you don't want to be the face behind your brand, which again is completely understandable as well, especially if you ever are looking to sell your brand one day in the future. So you can totally do this faceless and voiceless. Now, faceless is really easy. You can literally just show off your product. You may have to have your hands in the videos. And again, if we use our thermal label printer paper as the example, I will quickly show you a video here, which again has generated a really good amount of sales and doesn't show any faces or use any voice within the video.
Good morning.
So as you can see from this video right here, all they're showing in the video is their hands. It's a little bit ASMR type content, which was really powerful on TikTok. It's a great way to show off product. For me, one of the best ways to do this kind of ASMR video is you literally start off by holding your product and you drop it onto a table or some kind of surface so it makes a nice slapping noise, and that is the instant hook for your video. Because this is such a short sequence, you then have to change scenes after like half a second. So maybe if you drop it a couple of times, or you have multiple of your product that you drop on the desk at once, then within the first 2 seconds of the video, you could easily have like 3 scene changes, which that alone is enough to grab someone's attention. So this is a really powerful, and this is just one of the ways to do an ASMR video, by the way, but this is a really powerful way of showing off your product on TikTok Shop. I do have in today's video for you another 7 ways that you can show off your product and different types of videos you can make for each way. So let's get into that right now. So we've just gone over way number 1, which is the ASMR or satisfying type video. So then the second one, and arguably the best one, is the problem solution. So you probably want to start with a relatable pain point. This could be something to do with price, which is a really powerful one for TikTok, because TikTok Shop definitely lends itself more to lower priced items. And again, if we want to talk about a very boring item, at least here in the UK, toilet paper on TikTok Shop for some unknown reason has gone absolutely crazy, but it's because it solves a pain point. Everyone needs toilet roll, and if you go to the supermarkets, the prices are just going up and up, but you can go on TikTok Shop and buy these massive bundles of like 60, 100 rolls for super cheap. And this directly tackles probably the biggest pain point for most consumers on TikTok Shop, which is pricing. And that is why toilet roll has done so well on TikTok Shop. So problem solution is really powerful. Another problem solution we could talk about for our thermal label printer is simply something along the lines of never run out of thermal labels again, use these. Or again, with thermal labels, actually the price of these is really cheap. So you could start off with literally just a bit of text on the screen. That is your hook. That is literally telling people that it costs less than 1p per label for these label printer paper. So moving on to number 3. So this is going to be a before/after situation. So this type of video is really powerful for something like a home organizer, where maybe you'd show like your fridge and it's all messy, and then you get those fridge trays that seem to be everywhere nowadays, that's got a really nicely, neatly organized fridge with all these funky bright colors, so it looks really nice on camera. This is a really powerful, and this is also a really good shorter TikTok Shop video to be shown on the platform, because you can literally just have a couple of scene changes within it. And again, this is the perfect sort of video that doesn't need you to have any kind of face or voiceover within it. Now, the next sort of video that we are going to talk about in today's video is a hidden feature reveal. So this is usually something that isn't necessarily very obvious to the consumer at first glance. Maybe they've seen this product before and probably never bought it. So then you can kind of show them some features which don't seem too obvious until you actually have the product in front of you. So again, if we're talking about our thermal labels, maybe you have a pen that's run out of ink. You could literally just start writing on the thermal label and it will still write even though you've got no ink in your pen, because the labels work via heat transfer, which obviously happens with friction if you were to write on them. Now, this is obviously a very basic idea. The other one could be, again, if we talk about our fridge organizers that I mentioned earlier, maybe they stack on top of each other. So on one shelf, you could have multiple of the organizers stacked on top. Now, for me, I don't think this is the most powerful one for TikTok, unless your product has a really cool feature. But for a more generic sort of product, maybe one that's not very exciting, this isn't necessarily the best video angle to go down. At least not at first. Now the next one is a really powerful one and very simple to do, and it's literally just a tutorial of your product. So again, if we talk about our thermal labels, we literally just unpackage the product and show them how to set it up within your thermal label printer. It's a super easy, super self-explanatory. I'm sure you don't need me to cover any more about this. So let's move on to a reaction POV video. So maybe you actually know someone who is comfortable being on camera, so then maybe you could give them your product, have them unbox it and watch their reaction. Now again, if you have a boring product, then maybe you could sort of blend this with a before and after, where you don't necessarily let them react to your product, but you let them react to the transformation that your product gives. So again, if we talk about our super organized fridge, we could do a video where we're showing our partner how we've reorganized the fridge, and we open the fridge door and we film their reaction to seeing how much better the fridge looks with our fridge organizers. Now again, for me, this isn't necessarily one of the best types of videos to make, but it can definitely work with some products, especially if it's something that's a great gift to give to someone. So for one of my products that I have, the reaction videos actually work really well because it's more of a giftable product. So there's been a lot of affiliates for my shop that have made some really good videos about this. So if you've got anything that's more giftable, then this is really strong. If your product isn't much of a gift, then this probably isn't a very strong angle for you to come from, at least again, not at first. So now let's move on to the penultimate video type, and that is going to be a comparison video. So with this, the really strong one for TikTok Shop is affordable versus premium. Now, if you're in the premium category, then you want to say cheap versus premium. If you're in the affordable category, then you definitely want to say affordable, probably versus expensive. So if you're selling a cheap, affordable product, then you definitely want to go down the affordable angle, not the cheap angle. And if you're selling a premium product, you want to say premium and not expensive. And you literally just compare two different models, two different versions, or maybe you have a product that you've improved on a competitor's product. So again, you just buy their product and showcase your product next to it and why your product is better and why the consumer should buy from you. Again, this is a super simple video idea. So if we direct it into our label printer labels, then you get the two types of label printers. You get the ones that have the labels on a roll, and then you have the fanfare ones. And I know from my experience that actually the labels on the roll can sometimes be really annoying, because as you get to the end, all the labels are slightly folded over and it can be hard to stick it onto your packages. But when you use the fanfare labels, they're always nice and flat, nice and straight, which is easier to stick onto your package. So then that would be my main angle for this sort of video if I was going to be making a video about label printer labels. And then finally, the last type of video is simply just lifestyle integration. So you just do some videos of day-to-day life and how your product can improve your day-to-day life. Now again, if we talk about our label printers, and this could be, do you ever sell anything on Vinted rather than having to print out big sheets of paper, then cut them out and then sellotape them onto your package? If you use a label printer with thermal labels, then it will save you so much time. And that's the sort of video angle that we could be going down here for a more boring product. Or alternatively, if you actually have something that is really a day-to-day high-use item, then that can be really powerful for this kind of video. So now that we've talked about the different types of videos that we can make, let's talk about how to decide which type of video to make and also where to get the inspiration for the actual videos from. So the easiest way to start is literally just by doing some competitor research on TikTok Shop. So you just look for similar products, just search them up on TikTok Shop, watch some videos, look for videos that have high view counts. Obviously, you want to look for videos that have a product link embedded within the video. And then you literally just want to try and replicate the angles, replicate the hooks, test them slightly, tweak the hook, and then post a few of these videos a day. Now for me, when I had this viral video that I talked about at the start of this video, it wasn't necessarily about the type of video. I don't think that video was actually very good. But the reason why it worked for me is the fact that my hook was absolutely perfect. And then every time that I've replicated this hook, I haven't always necessarily had that viral hit, because viral hits are definitely sporadic on TikTok. You cannot predict virality, but they have always worked and gained and generated me some consistent sales. So really the hook is the most important part of these videos. Those first 2 to 3 seconds on a TikTok video is super important. Your hook can be your voice saying something, your hook can be something visual, or your hook can just be text on the screen. For TikTok shop videos, my favorite hook is definitely text on the screen, because this is usually the fastest way to have a viewer actually understand your hook. Because if it's just one single line of text that is a good hook in itself, they will be able to read that in less than a second. But if you're sitting here explaining it to them, then it can take a little bit longer and you might lose their attention span just before you're able to finish delivering your hook. So then once you've actually had your first video that has had any kind of sales, even one single sale, you want to start putting this into a vault and you start ranking your videos based on how many sales they make. So if you post a video and you've literally just made one sale from it, then that's great. Let's make that video again and try tweaking the hook slightly and see if that does better or worse. Of course, if it then next time it makes you no sales, then you know that hook is absolutely not going to work and needs to be scrapped. But maybe the next video you just get 3 sales. So then you might actually know that your hook is quite good, but your video is not quite as good. So then you keep the same hook and change the video, but maybe that doesn't work. So then you actually realize that the video was okay, and then you go back and change the hook again. And you just keep testing like this. Remember, when you're testing videos on TikTok Shop, as much as possible, you only want to be changing one thing at a time. So the things to be looking at, obviously, like we've already talked about, it's going to be the hook, the style of the video, even simple things such as the lighting and the angle, and even the background on where you're shooting. All of these things can play a part in your video's performance. It's not always obviously going to be something that's consciously happening in the mind of your potential buyers, but a lot of it is going to be subconscious, especially if we're talking about things like backgrounds. I know for me, I've tried recreating some of my amazing affiliate videos, but it's not worked. I've used the exact same hook, the exact same camera angle, but maybe the main thing that I'm actually missing is just simple aesthetic parts of the video. For me, if I'm trying to copy a video from a girl who has very nicely done nails, that's that aesthetics of the video, and that's not obviously something that's going to be conscious in the mind of the consumer on TikTok, but it's just that little thing that can make the videos better. So you need to study absolutely everything of why your video or why your competitors' videos are working well. Then once you actually start seeing videos that are generating tens, potentially even hundreds of sales, these are really the videos you want to lock in and constantly just remake and remake, tweak slightly if you need to. But generally, especially once you start getting to hundreds of sales per video, you probably don't need to do a lot of tweaking with that video. Just keep rinsing and repeating it. And of course, you do not want to have it feel like you're shoving the same videos down the throat of your audience. But what you've got to remember is TikTok is an interest-based algorithm, and it will just feed it to the people that the algorithm thinks are going to be interested in your video. And there's a very high chance that people that saw the first version won't see version 2 or version 50 or any of the versions in between. So once you do find a winning video, make sure that you double down on this, but also make sure that you give it to your affiliates. Let them see the video, explain what it was, explain the hook, give them as much detail about the video as possible. Whether this is a video that you've made or another affiliate has made, you don't want to be greedy here. You all definitely want to make sure that you're giving that source away to anyone that's promoting videos on your shop. So obviously we've definitely covered a lot in today's video. So let's just have a quick recap on how you can make your first £1,000 selling on TikTok Shop. So once you have your product, the first thing you want to do is go onto TikTok and do some competitor research and look at what they're doing. Once you find some winning videos, shoot 3 to 5 versions of this winning video. You really don't want to be changing too much here. Always make sure that you're copying the hook, because that is the most important part of the video. Just copy it exactly from your competitor. Try and copy the camera angles and the lighting and all that stuff as much as possible as well. Then once you've found some success, or even if you haven't found success, you then want to start tweaking things. So you want to tweak the hook, the lighting, how you display your product, and then again, make another 5 versions of this and post them. Now, once you've made your first batch of videos, you then want to go back to our 8 different videos that we discussed in this video. You then want to go back to the 8 different styles of videos that we discussed earlier and choose different types of those videos to go down. So you can again do more competitor research and look, for example, for some ASMR videos or look for some problem solution videos, and then really create some kind of vault with all of these different video ideas in. Probably have links to the exact videos on TikTok, but also write out the hooks and the other important parts of the video as well. And then once you have your videos that have started generating you even just a few sales like we mentioned earlier, you just got to keep replicating, keep testing and improving these videos one by one. And eventually, after doing this for literally just a few weeks, you will have improved so much on your videos that you'll definitely be able to hit that first £1,000 on TikTok. And then it's just about rinsing, repeating and scaling this process to take your brand and your TikTok product as high as you want it to go. So if you're interested in learning more about TikTok Shop and how to grow and scale your TikTok shop, especially beyond your first £1,000, then check out this video on the end screen now.